Hey everybody, so this is Hunter5 Actual, doing my first stream with audio here, and we're gonna go ahead and play a little bit of Ghost Recon Wildlands, and yeah, point of this stream is just for me to kind of share my opinions, thoughts on various games, in particular this one in particular first, just because a little bit about me. Veteran of the Army, 4.5 years, give or take, and yeah, and then after doing that now, trying to make my way in the civilian world and testing out different things and having a little fun on the way. So, lots of opinions about video game design in general, as much as a novice can have, of course. And thank you very much, Scotty McButters, for letting me know the audio works. This is the first try at this. So, yeah, just lots of opinions on gameplay, decisions, realism, especially in the case of Ghost Recon. Because, sometimes I'm a stickler for realism in these type of games, and then sometimes it's okay to be a Destiny or something and kind of throw all that out the window. But this game in particular, I really wanted to do just because after getting out of the military and, moving around, figuring out what I needed to do, really wanted to start having a little bit more fun again.
Take the largest portion for himself.
I'm cool, let's move.
Start having a little bit more fun. Start looking at what I want to do outside of the military, and part of that was kind of a lot of artistic, a little bit of artistic expression. So I've been looking into various things of video game design, storytelling. I have a blog, a webcomic, story writing, lots of things. So, kind of looking at story elements and gameplay elements just kind of helps me visualize and kind of understand how various storytellers tell the stories that they want to, and the amount of work that goes into these pieces of art. So, we're gonna go ahead. I'm just doing a basic mission here. Which region is this in? This is the... I think it's Flor de Oro. Oh, let's not get spotted. That would not be good right now. Nope, okay, we're in a firefight. Okay, so here we go.
Fucking hell.
We're going hot, so let's go ahead and get this thing going. Okay, oh, there he is. Oh shit, okay. There we go. Alright, let's get a grenade out there. So one of the things I really appreciate about this game is the dynamic kind of free flow of the whole game. It does provide an element of realism. That a lot of things can happen and you never quite know what's going to happen. So it creates a lot of these really fun dynamic moments. Some firefights that can come out of nowhere and, okay, like this. Oh shit, wow, okay. Yeah, some dynamic firefights that can happen in these type of things. We probably should get out of here before this gets any worse. So kind of the dynamic firefights that can happen, it creates a sense of realism that just kind of anything can happen at any moment, and you may have a plan. Well, looks like... Okay. Yeah, this is great. Let's get back up on the road here. Let's see here, what do we got? There we go, let's get out of here. So, it creates a lot of, I guess, a dynamic realism that you can have a plan, you can plan out your route and everything, and, we're probably going to ditch this truck and kind of go for a more realistic route and just go ahead and hump it out into the woods here. And so, with this kind of dynamic realism...
Hey, a new unit dad heavy machine gunner.
Where you got him?
Let's see, where's he got him?
Checkpoint.
Okay, let's not go that way then. It creates these instances of, you have a plan, you have a route, and you can try playing it really slowly and really methodically, but the moment something unexpected happens, you have to kind of react to that, which can be really great because it's led for some really great moments and really great firefights that are really reminiscent of training that I had, and just full disclosure for anyone wondering, I was never deployed, so no need to worry about me trying to claim things that I've never seen or done before. But in training, just kind of the ability to react, and then of course in the type of stuff that you do see coming out of Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, and everywhere else, kind of how for 1 second everything could be quiet and everything could be going well, and the next moment people are in a firefight in the middle of a cornfield or in the middle of a forest. So I really appreciate this game for exactly that, because it provides a lot of fun when the unexpected happens. So just like all of that whole patrol and the firefight, and did not expect that to happen, so we're going to go ahead and keep on making our way towards this objective here. So one little nitpicky thing that I do have is a kind of a sense of distance. And this is something in general, gameplay-wise, in a lot of games, that I don't know if it's necessarily scaling, in the scaling of a 3D world, and how the player interacts with it, but I noticed that, like, so this right here, you can see that the objective's 541 meters away. In real life, this would be, one, already, if you were going to call artillery something called danger close, you would already not really want to call artillery any closer than this. Of course, our guys are supposed to be kind of an amalgamation of Delta Force, Rangers, Special Forces, kind of all rolled up into one. I think in the original Ghost Recon, they did claim themselves to be Special Forces, which I would assume would be a Green Beret type. U.S. Army Special Forces.
Drone.
So they might be willing to take a little bit more risks with what type of artillery they're calling and at which distances, but in general, something like this, 541 meters away, would already be something that you don't really want to do. Whereas in the game, I can't even call, I don't believe, let's check. I don't think I can call artillery at this point. If I tried to call artillery into here, I don't think it would allow me to with the mortars, which of course is, one, not realistic of kind of the distances that mortars are able to engage targets at. Like, yeah, see? So I can begin to engage right around the 500 meter mark. So that's not too bad, but it's one of these issues that I've kind of found, and I'm left wondering why the distances seem kind of off in these type of games. So here, like 420 meters, getting kind of back onto this distance issue. So in real life, this is already well within ranges that you could possibly engage an enemy at with small arms, a little outside of the engagement criteria for what I have my player using, which is more or less an M4 with a grenade launcher, a 320 grenade launcher at the bottom. But here, this is something where my drone can barely even pick up enemy signatures at this point. So if the game's kind of telling you that you need to get closer, this is a little further,
Top of the tower.
a little too far away. You need to get a little bit closer to start engaging these enemies. Where in real life, this is probably already a little too close for wanting to engage enemies.
Tango number 3.
And it's just a small thing that I've noticed. It's a small little thing that I've noticed with this game, which, especially once amongst the older Tom Clancy titles, realism was definitely something that they were trying to go for.
Sniper, top of the tower.
It does kind of bring up some questions about
Got a tango.
decision making on the creative level about how they kind of make these decisions of what the ranges that you're going to engage enemies at and everything, and whether it actually means anything actually in the end to say that this is 300 meters away, 400 meters away, etc. But anyways, that's enough of my nitpicking about that, and so it looks like we're going to be trying to infiltrate a FOB here. And for those who don't know, FOB is a forward operating base, and this is kind of a more recent, at least in the American military, kind of a more recent kind of fixture, especially in the most recent wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, where you have this concept of being within a fully hostile territory, and so you need kind of a base of operations to then continue moving forward out and pushing out patrols, which I suppose would make sense in this fictional depiction of Bolivia, where this is kind of a narco state, and so they're kind of power projecting their presence out to the population from the secure bases. So we're going to just try to find a way to infiltrate this. Looks like it's got a pretty steady fence around it. Just got to find a possible way around this. So yeah, so thank you very much for those watching this first stream, and for those commenting. Some buddies of mine I see. And it's very much appreciated. And so again, for those who missed the beginning of this, trying this out for the first time with some audio, and you know, just trying to figure out where I'm going after the military. So trying to find ways of kind of artistic expression, trying to find ways to pay those all-important, ever-present student loans that everyone always seems to have. So, you know, figured that this would be a fun option, try to justify video games as a business expense. Alright. Why are my team hanging way the hell out there?
Rally up, Ethan.
Roger, move it.
Alright. Okay, so this is a pretty good...
Libertad province. What can you tell us?
Libertad is where Santa Blanca gets the precursors it uses to refine coca paste into cocaine.
So it looks like this is a pretty good fence here. I'm gonna have to try to find another way back this way.
The local Buchan keeps a very low profile. We think he might be one of the cartel's top tenors, so I'd really love to find out what he knows. Get out there, rattle some cages, and see what you can find out.
Copy that. We're on it.
Let's see here. Alright. Let's see here. So one of the fun things that I like about kind of a, not necessarily overdone trope by this point, although some would definitely say so, about open worlds is the ever so often promised idea of approaching problems your way and finding solutions to the issues and the objectives that the game puts before you in your own manner. And I find that this game actually, for the most part, does a pretty good job at that, which is something I appreciate, because some open-world games, they may claim that you can kind of choose your own way to solve these problems. But for the most part, they still kind of shoehorn you into a single way. And in fact, that's actually kind of a... not sure if it's necessarily a controversial take anymore, but I know that I find myself agreeing with it, and I think more and more people are as time goes on. One of the issues that I had with games like Metal Gear Solid 5, which, as a lifelong Metal Gear Solid fan, truly broke my heart to feel this way about it, was that despite the open world format, it still kind of shoehorned you into
Bowman's briefing on Santa Blanca's coke production pipeline.
A little bit of storyline.
El Yayo and La Gringa. Yayo's Bolivian, an ex-cocalero turned cocaine producer. Gringa seems to be a disgraced chemist. She used to work for an NGO here in Bolivia before joining up with the cartel.
Alright. So back where I was, so it still kind of felt like it was shoehorning you into approaching issues the same way, that despite having a large open world, the world for the most part was empty, except for enemies. And a lot of the time, especially for me, I took a liking throughout the other games to trying to take a non-lethal route to most of the games. So I know that in some of the first opening missions, especially once you get to Afghanistan and the main storyline, that the non-lethal route becomes kind of an issue because of a lot of the realism and some of the game mechanics, and of course that makes it a little bit more challenging with things like silencers falling apart, which they did before in previous games like Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. But this one, it felt like they were really trying to push you that even though you could try a non-lethal option and try to tranquilize all of the Soviet soldiers in Afghanistan, or the American Marines in the Cuban base that's basically supposed to be Guantanamo, it never really felt like that was the option they wanted you to take, because it was always tranquilizers were always really sparse, whereas lethal ammo was always plentiful. The range that you get, especially starting
by the checkpoint.
especially starting in Afghanistan. It always felt like you could try to use a little tranquilizer pistol, but when you're trying to infiltrate these cities and everything, but why not use the sniper rifle? Why not use the assault rifle that we gave you? And then especially once you finish the one of the first story missions, and you have the
Sniper, top of
the
tower.
first kind of mini boss fight appear, that felt extremely shoehorned of an action set piece where it didn't matter how stealthy you were trying to be, you were forced into a lethal confrontation that you had to try to figure out and shoot your way out of. And for me, I'd been trying to play non-lethal that entire time, so then all of a sudden having to fight these super soldiers that are following me on a horse and teleporting and frankly destroying me was kind of jarring, because the entire time before I'd played trying to do no detection, no lethal no kills, and trying to do a completely stealth run. So some of those issues that I have with open world storytelling is that it kind of forces you into a single way that the creator wants you to go, despite giving you an open world framework. In this game in particular, for the most part, I haven't had too many issues with the way the game sets up its missions. Like here right now, I can try to go quiet and pick these guys off, or my preferred method is usually to try to start a big firefight with a bunch of the rebels that I've begun to recruit. But what kind of gets me is that even this game still kind of falls into the shoehorn, where during one of the missions where you try to take out a cartel leader, you can plan the operation to get up to his house, his getaway house, and take out all his guards, but the creators intentionally place the target in an underground bunker underneath the house, underneath the safe house, and behind a locked door you see him get on a motorcycle and begin to drive away, and the door only unlocks once you get a little bit of dialogue, so then it forces you into kind of a high-paced, exciting car chase, which for someone like me looking to get my army fix and a little bit of a realism fix, but not too realistic, well, I'll get onto that later with games like Squad, it kind of was just jarring, kind of felt a little, I'm trying to think of the word, a little disingenuous about how it tells you you can approach missions, namely that you can try approaching them in a more realistic manner, but occasionally you're still gonna have to do
There's another one. That's 10.
Got it. Moving.
gonna have to do a Act of Valor style Hollywood action set piece.
Eyes on the target. Target acquired.
We're gonna. This is okay.
Moving to a better position.
We're gonna try to do this.
Ready to fire.
Okay, I need to find this other guy. Yeah, so, like right here, this is gonna provide a nice little instance.
I'm getting a position.
Where we can try to use, try to take these guys a little bit more quietly. Oh shit, okay.
Target eliminated.
Okay.
Shit, he heard his buddy fall.
Shit, okay. Okay, that's that guy. Alright, we need to take this guy out. There we go. And so this is more of the kind of storytelling that I like, where this does allow me to, and it's actually kind of rewarding me to kind of take my time, locate these materials, and try to do that quietly, with appropriate punishments if everything went south, especially around these fobs, which is actually kind of a pain in these games, that when you get the military alerted, they really, I suppose it's very realistic, and kind of how probably insurgents in some of these wars that we're fighting overseas feel, that once you get a fob on alert, you're kind of facing quite a bit of superior firepower. You are facing attack helicopters, mortars, and numerous amount of patrols. And in this game, it can get really harrowing when you've got like 3 or 4 attack helicopters and like 5 armored trucks chasing you, and the most explosive thing you have is a grenade launcher. Yeah, so reading Scotty McButter's comment here, it is kind of a trope. I'm not sure if it's necessarily intentional or unintentional.
We got civilians dangerously close. Check your targets.
But it
before you
is
shoot.
definitely something that occurs a lot in these open world games where you have issues of trying to allow a certain amount of freedom and flexibility with the gameplay, but in the end, there's always going to be kind of a formula that works. And especially, again, I've heard critiques of MGS5 because about how some people go back to play it and they find that really it becomes just kind of going into that kind of high adrenaline mode whenever you're about to be spotted and everything slows down, and then beginning to get one after another tranquilizer headshots or lethal headshots and just kind of dropping everyone, then running to the next group of enemies, doing so until all the enemies on the base are taken out, and then you can move on to whatever you need to do. Which is, again, a little disappointing when games try to introduce this idea that there's a lot of freedom and kind of flexibility about how you approach objectives. And again, I'm not going to say that this game doesn't avoid that. As you can see, a lot of the gameplay elements that I use here is basically using a drone or binoculars to identify all the targets, which there are quite a few of here.
Enemy marked.
And then slowly picking off snipers, picking out outliers, and then really, if I wanted to, I could try to just do this and kind of go one after another, and just kill everybody in the entire base without anybody ever noticing where I'm at. I'm looking for a generator around here.
Sniper, top of the tower. Enemy
Jesus.
spotted.
There's a lot of enemies out there. Now, this is definitely something I appreciate about kind of the challenge of this game in particular, is that it does still kind of retain an arcadey feel that isn't necessarily something that was associated with the first Ghost Recons. Like, I'm talking the original PC first-person shooter Ghost Recons. Which kind of it's kind of the Hollywood element, and while it can get annoying for sometimes what I'm looking for, which is kind of that realistic special forces out in Afghanistan taking out small targets in raids kind of feel, it definitely provides some moments that feel like they're ripped right out of movies like Lone Survivor, which of course is based on a true story, where you've got, your small team of 4 special operations soldiers, and you're fighting off a multitude of enemies and just trying to escape and survive. And definitely it's provided some exciting moments just like that I could still remember, and that's, in the end, despite all my griping, I really do have a lot of fun with this game for just those moments where I'll begin playing expecting to try to do like a night raid or something, and then by the end of my short play session, I'm running down the side of a mountain being pursued by attack helicopters and a multitude of enemy soldiers, and trying to make my way back to a rebel-held location so I can get some help, and it creates some excitement. So, yeah, so as you can see, I'm just approaching this base, just trying to take out some of the outliers. One of the things I do really kind of appreciate is the ability to call indirect fire in this game.
I'm moving to position.
Things like
Moving to a good sight line.
mortars, especially, was one of the first rebel skills that I got, just because it provides
Say the word, boss.
and I think we're good to go. There we go.
Tango
It provides a little bit of a kind of a force multiplier, just being able to kind of even the odds, and especially in the game where one thing that I actually do like about the vehicle combat in this game is that with helicopters especially, they're not kind of an end-all be-all that some of these larger bases and some of the more heavily fortified regions of this fictional Bolivia have a multitude of surface-to-air missiles, so it kind of makes you have to fly a little bit more defensively and kind of think about where you're flying rather than just try to treat it like a just trying to treat it like you've got an attack helicopter go ham. Alright, we're gonna see
Moving
what we
to
can do
position.
here.
Let me find a good position.
Take some of these outliers
Roger.
out.
Target acquired. Copy. Target marked. Kill confirmed.
Probably should have gotten that sniper while I was there. I don't think I found the generator yet to take out all of the SAMs and everything without having to destroy them one by one. Let's see if we can locate that. Let's see here. Let's see here. We got quite a few enemies. Oh, there it is. Alright, I think it's maybe now time to go loud. Time to take a few more of these snipers out, maybe.
Eyes on the target.
Let's see. I think that's about all I can do, so we're gonna go ahead and take that sniper out. We're gonna go ahead and hit this generator. And let's start the fun. Let's get some diversion, get some away from me. Let's get some rebels hitting there. And let's get some rebels to help me. Alright. And now... Yep. Let's find an overwatch position in one of these houses. Somewhere where I can have a little bit more visibility about what's going on. Can I get into here? Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Alright. Let's see here. Yeah. There we go. Nice. Alright. Seems like they haven't really figured out where we're at, which is nice. So we can go ahead and continue our assault here on some of these guys in the high ground. Because you always know the high ground is unbeatable. Ooh, that is a nice cluster of enemy right there. I wonder if I've got a mortar back. Not yet. Let's see here. Alright, well. Nope, not yet. So I see some of the comments talking about Origins, Assassin's Creed Origin, and Horizon Zero Dawn. So I've played Horizon Zero Dawn. To my shame, have not completed it. But it was a lot of fun. And it was definitely a kind of a welcome change from Guerrilla's other stuff. Although I was very much a fan of the Killzone series. I thought it was a little bit grittier, a little bit more realistic, even if it is in space and you're fighting space Nazis, basically, than shooters like Halo. But then again, I also was a PlayStation fanboy, so I guess that makes sense. Let's call a mortar strike.
Calling for indirect fire.
There we go. Let's see how many we can get. Oof. Nope. And that seemed to hit like one dude. Which is unfortunate. I do kind of, I don't appreciate necessarily how they, replicate mortars in this game. Sometimes it feels like they're a little too limited in damage, but, you know, you gotta let bygones be bygones sometimes. Alrighty. Oh, they got this guy. Let's kill him.
I'm engaging takeouts.
There we go. Alrighty. A little dark. Small other nitpick before we end here. The night vision in this game. Was it really that hard to model some night vision goggles on your guys going down when you put night vision on? I suppose it was when you want to have a lot of microtransactions in your game, and the night vision goggle model costs a couple extra bucks, but a little bit annoying. Kind of disappointing that something like that I had to pay to get night vision goggles to look like they're actually on my face when I go night vision. Otherwise, I guess I can just see through my awesome glasses. This great night vision filter. So we're coming up on the end here, guys, for my first stream. I'm going to try to do this to 30-minute blocks, and I'll try to get a schedule out after this. Try to see, maybe Monday through Friday, probably, for a shorter amount of time, around 30 minutes each day. So it's a lot. I really appreciate everyone tuning in today, and I hope to provide you a little bit more commentary and me griping about video games that I actually like playing. So it's been fun. This is Hunter 5 Actual, logging out. Peace.